Guys, this is Vaniac here from lifelikeameanit.com, coming to you live to talk some more about imposter syndrome. And today I would like to use an NLP strategy called metaprograms. And I would like to look at this concept or explore this idea of what is the marker for success for you? How do you know that you've done a good job? And I know that that might sound really, really dumb, right? It might be like, well, I just know I have. But that's the point, is that so many of us don't actually take the time out of our day or our life to just sit for a second and say, okay, what is my success criteria with this? What is it that I need in order to feel like I've done a great job? Because sometimes we just assume, right? Or we say, oh, I'll just know that I've done a good job. But when it really comes down to it, a lot of people really think that, oh, okay, well, when I stand up and I do the presentation, or I give or hold a meeting, or I complete the program, or whatever it is, I'll just have a feeling that I'm done and that I've done a great job. But that's really hard to contextualize, right? I'll have a great feeling that I'm done. Well, when you're done, is that the same as actually feeling like you gave it your all, like you did a really great job, right? We need to put a little bit more effort into understanding our own individual needs as unique people and get really crystal clear about the details of what it is we're looking for in order to feel like we have been successful, right? We've succeeded in this, or we've done our best job, or whatever, right? Because oftentimes when we get real about that, we end up realizing that we're maybe looking for some things that we can't control, right? Which is mainly the reactions of other people. That for us to feel successful, we need a certain number of people to go through our courses, or a certain number of people to be in the audience at a talk, or a certain number of people to come and approach us at the end of a meeting that we've just given and told us that was the best meeting they've ever gone to in their entire lives, right? Or when we really get clear, we end up realizing that the whole idea of success that we have for ourselves is based on perfectionism and is unattainable. Like, to be successful, I feel like I need to hold a live and not say the word ever. Right? It's like I've worked very hard over the years to actually eliminate from my vocabulary as much as possible, knowing that I wanted to be a speaker, and before I was an actor, and that's really important, that when you are lost in thought, that you're not filling the space with because it actually makes you look like you don't know what it is that you're talking about. But I'm not going to set that as one of my criteria for success, because I know all the work and effort that I've gone into not saying doesn't mean that I won't reach a point in the presentation where I said And if that's what it takes to fail at something and feel like I didn't reach success, well, how am I ever going to be successful, right? So it's about, first of all, like almost everything that I've talked about, both with anxiety and imposter syndrome specifically, we're talking about awareness, right? We're talking about really getting clear as to what makes you tick. What do you need to feel good about yourself, to feel like you are good enough, to feel like you can do it, to feel like you are worthy, that you can bring something to the table that nobody else can? Whatever it is that we're talking about, build your confidence. What is it that you need to feel like you have been successful? Okay. And that can be with just in general, what do you need to feel successful becoming confident? Or that can be with very specific things that you're doing, right? Holding your first meeting on Zoom or something like that, right? And so you'll discover for yourself, what is it that you actually are looking for? Are you looking for it to be 100% flawless? Are you looking for people to say a certain thing to you? Because oftentimes when I get into conversations with somebody, it's very common, including with myself, that our idea of success, that criteria, includes somebody else giving us positive feedback. And there's nothing wrong with that. However, we can't control that, first of all, right? The other people don't know that we need that, and we can't make them give us the positive feedback. And second is that oftentimes when you really get down to it, we're not just looking for positive feedback. We're looking for people to say something very specific to us. And that's going to be different for you and you and you and you compared to for me, because where I have some of my holdups about my abilities are going to be different from where you have yours, because it's all based on our own personal experience, right? All of our thoughts going on in our head are all about our own personal experiences. They're not based in reality, right? They're based in our version of reality, which is based on the world that we've created because of our experiences, and then the thoughts that are being driven by those experiences. So you need to really get quite comfortable with what exactly it is that you are looking for. What are the signs that you can tick off in the boxes to show yourself that you have been successful with this project or with this overarching goal of yours or whatever it is? Right? And when you're doing that, when you're becoming clear about what it is you need, it's just as important for you to actually take a step back and ask if each of these are actually tangible. If you've maybe set the bar at an impossible level, or if you have realized that you've set the bar at an impossible level, is that your own imposter syndrome setting you up for failure? Right? Because a lot of our thoughts are what's driving our unconscious mind is the looking for evidence that we are correct in our assumption about ourselves, even when that assumption is negative, even when we're saying we can't do it, we're not good enough. You would think that we'd be wanting to look for evidence to the contrary, but we don't. And in fact, when we find evidence to the contrary, we're so uncomfortable because it doesn't match the narrative going on in our head. We will search for some flaw in that narrative or in that information that's coming to us so that it will more closely match our negative narrative, right? So are you setting that bar for your success criteria too high or unrealistic on purpose so that you won't feel like you are successful, so that you'll go back into a comfort zone where you feel safe, ironically, which is in that place that you are not good enough, you can't do this, you don't deserve good things, or whatever that is, whatever your imposter syndrome looks like for you. So getting really clear on these things actually is incredibly empowering, because once you start to see what it is that you're doing, it makes it really difficult for you to continue to do that to yourself. So for example, when you realize that you've set the bar too high and you need something to be perfect, well, then you start breaking down, well, what does that perfection even look like? And when you start listing out the hundreds of things that you need to go just so that you can feel like you've been successful with this thing, you realize, well, nobody would be able to accomplish any of these, okay? And you automatically start creating a plan that is more attainable, right? Without even forcing yourself to do it. It's more about, okay, I can see the ridiculousness in this. I can see that even people that I really closely admire would struggle to be able to meet all of these criteria. So, okay, I'm going to just be gentle with myself. I'm going to change it up a little bit, and I'm going to see if I pull out these two things here instead of this list of 400. If I pull out these two things that I need to hit to feel successful, then that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to experiment with that, right? And we all know that a feeling is almost untangible, right? Like some feeling successful sometimes happens when we haven't actually ticked any of those boxes. And then other times we can tick all of those boxes and feel successful. But still, that aside, if we just look at what your criteria is to be successful, what does it look like to actually attain this, and get really real and honest with yourself, and start making some adjustments to that so that we're more living in, a reality of things that you can tick the box, and start asking yourself, well, why was I setting that bar at that ridiculous level to begin with? Is it because I want to push myself to actually get there? Nothing wrong with that. Or is it really that I want to set myself up for failure because that's going to match the narrative that's going on in my head that tells me that I am a failure? So awareness is the key, and asking yourselves, what does success look like? Getting clear on what it is that you need in order to feel like you have triumphed in that moment. Get clear on those things, and I guarantee that will start making a difference with your imposter syndrome. I hope that helps. Go on over to IGTV, or if you're on YouTube or Facebook, you can watch this in my series there, Beating Imposter Syndrome. Thank you so much. If you'd like to reach out and talk about how NLP coaching can help you, I'd love for you to jump on a free discovery call with me. Just head on over to lifelikeyoumeanit.com/calendar and book your free session with me, and we can get to know each other. Of course, this link will be in my bio as well.